All right. Welcome back and happy Wednesday hump day. Do you remember Kamala's flawless campaign that the corrupt mainstream media kept talking about endlessly, how perfect it was? The campaign that featured virtually no interviews or hard questions and was highlighted by expensive celebrities. Remember, she paid off Oprah Winfrey. She paid off Beyonce just to show up. Trust me, I was just as confused as you to hear that the people in corporate media were actually going on air every single day and calling Kamala the campaign of perfection. This head-scratching praise always seemed like tampering to me, and how now the truth is slowly starting to present itself. Listen to Jim Gaffigan, a comedian, by the way, who just dropped a major post-election truth bomb.
What I felt was interesting about this election is, and maybe because it was so important, and maybe because it was such a short election for Kamala, that people were like, "Don't criticize her." And my whole thing is like, well, that is, and I'm not somebody who's a roast guy, but I'm like, that's actually bad to have that approach.
Yeah.
And I think hindsight, a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, you remember when Kamala Harris' campaign paid Reverend Al Sharpton, and I use the Reverend part very loosely here, paid Al Sharpton prior to an interview that paid him off? I mean, what the hell were they doing? This is hardly breaking news, what Gaffigan tells us. We all suspected that the White House told all of the big names to take it easy on their girl, Cammie, but it certainly is interesting to hear someone actually admit it. This is yet another White House scandal that will soon fade into the darkness with the mainstream media. That's why you're here, not listening to them. Every single day, for more than a year, you can turn on basically any of the left-wing media, maybe even the center media, those networks, and hear wall-to-wall Trump slander for 24 hours straight. And that was just on national television. The social media misinformation campaign against Trump was a whole other beast in itself. Yet, anytime anyone opened your mouth about Kamala Harris and the miserable campaign she was running, we were either told to shut up, you're being racist, and they try to cancel us. The beauty about all of this is that even with Hollywood and the media in her pocket and the suppression going on by both of them on her side, Kamala still lost badly, like really badly. I got plenty more to discuss, so as always, let's react. Okay, folks, what in the hell is going on with Senator John Fetterman? The more this guy speaks now, the more sense he makes. It's gotten to the point where I actually don't mind hearing what John Fetterman has to say. Of course, we all remember Fetterman's rise to relevance. He took down Dr. Oz after concerns about his own health. John Fetterman had that stroke. Well, remember the wardrobe that he used to wear dominated his campaign. He wears the hoodie. He still wears the hoodie. We were out. Listen, I got to tell you, I was one of the first people to say the guy's got to be more respectful to the office of the Senate and to the chamber and to the body and to the American people. But you know what? I'm kind of starting to like this guy. At the time, there were instances of cluelessness that kind of raised all sort of red flags. Remember, he had just had that stroke. We weren't even sure if he could read. He was saying things that didn't make sense. But here we are, 2025. The Pennsylvania senator seems to be as level-headed as ever. Listen to this guy.
It's really common sense. And I'd like to remind everybody that we have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of migrants here illegally that have convicted of crimes. And why, I don't know why, who wants to defend that, to allow them to remain in our nation after that? And now if you're here illegally and you're committing crimes and those things, I don't know why anybody thinks that it's controversial that they all need to go.
Do you think that this was one of, if not the biggest issue for this election?
Well, I think if we can't, there's 47 of us in the Senate, and if we can't pull up with 7 votes, if we can't get at least 7 out of 47, and if we can't, then that's the reason why we lost. That's one of them. That's one of why we lost, in part.
Oh my gosh, the shock and awe on the left when the senator from Pennsylvania is admitting that the border was one of the reasons why they lost the election. By the way, if you're listening on radio, he's wearing a black hoodie. He looks a little like Uncle Fester. I'm sorry, I said it. Folks, coming from a Democrat, though, the angle on the southern border that he took is a big deal. This entire party on the left wants to leave the doors wide open for all the world's criminals and murderers. But Fetterman, he's siding against basically all of his peers. Enough is enough, he said. Quote, they've got to all go. They've got to all go. Imagine a Democrat saying that. Honestly, Fetterman sounded disappointed in his own party, and he should be. Did you hear him say, that's the reason we lost? He knows that the immigration and the mass invasion of our southern border and other borders, but the southern border specifically from people around the world, Chinese, Taliban perhaps, people, hundreds, maybe thousands of people on the terror watch list, the FBI's own terror watch list, we know for a fact have come through this country in the last 4 years. That's on Biden. But Fetterman knows that this was a top election issue and probably understands that his fellow Democrats did themselves a major disservice by playing politics with our national security. Clearly, the American public, voting public, was pissed off too. That clip caught the attention of Elon Musk, by the way, who gave Fetterman his flowers for being the rare Democrat who speaks with logic and reason. Elon said, and I'm quoting, Fetterman is based, which means honest and truthful. And honestly, I'm starting to agree. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I agree with them. Thank you, John Fetterman, this is Bolling talking, for defying the radical and dangerous rhetoric put out by your political peers on the left. Maybe if more Democrats thought like you, the past election would have been moderately competitive, but it wasn't. So I'm glad it wasn't. I'm glad we got Trump, and I'm glad people like Fetterman are being honest and true, saying, hey, American people, they spoke. They want the southern border secured. Moving on, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, probably the worst mayor in this country, just got absolutely obliterated by a reporter who pressed him on his miserable polling. Take a listen to this hysterical exchange.
Recent polls show 76% of those surveyed say Chicago would be better off with a different mayor. How do you convince them otherwise?
Well, look, the people of Chicago elected me to invest in people. In every single category as it relates to investments, they're up. I actually am humbled that the people of Chicago believe in my administration enough to have greater expectations than any other administration. That's what leadership looks like, and I'm humbled to do it.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that there's greater expectations? I don't know where I hear that. Because,
yeah.
and then the feedback instead is that the polling is poor. So how do I don't know how you interpret it that way.
Well, because maybe because I'm a middle child. Maybe it's because I'm a Bears fan. By the way, the Bears are undefeated in 2025, so we're off to a great start. Here's what I'm saying, though. Look, the people of Chicago voted for me to invest in them, and that's exactly what we've done. And I'm going to continue to do that.
She was right. You're getting smoked in the polls, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. You're getting smoked in the polls. And when the reporter pushes back, how can you even say the people are giving you a mandate? And he said, well, maybe it's because of the Bears. The freaking Bears? Are you nuts? The mayor started talking about his favorite football team. Where the hell are the Democrats finding these clowns? Because that's what he is. Chicago, my hometown, an absolute mess. But let's not act confused about why people really thought that inserting Brandon Johnson, a total clown, to replace another total clown, Lori Lightfoot, clown show in Chicago, folks, would rid the city of its many burdens and ills. Well, here's a thought. What's the windy city of Chicago known for? Well, could it be the Bulls, their iconic basketball team? The Bulls' colors are primarily red and white and black. I think that during the next election cycle, the city should look the same. Get some Republican leadership in there. Instead of running it back with another unqualified DEI hire, a darling who can't tell their head from their ass. Lori Lightfoot, Brandon, let's go Brandon Johnson. Just a thought. Moving on, did anyone see the cover of the New York Post today? This is pretty fascinating. And if you're watching, listening on radio, you can't really see. So we have the New York Post that says instead of the Monroe Doctrine, the Dunroe Doctrine, which is really fascinating. It's a map. I think what makes this so great, this cover, is that Trump actually believes that this is possible. And we're talking about Canada, we're talking about Greenland, we're talking about possibly Panama. It's really fascinating. Trump's been campaigning for American expansion. And whether you love Trump or hate Trump, you have to give the guy credit for putting his plans on the table. Besides Canada, now, Canada could use our help right now, and their citizens would agree. I told you about the time I was in a restaurant. A Canadian citizen came up and said, please, please make us your 51st state. Greenland is sitting on a lifetime supply of natural minerals, rare earth minerals, which Trump would certainly put to good use. And we basically have handed Panama and the canal over to Panama and China, really, for no reason. Expanding our sphere of influence might sound crazy, but with proper execution and leadership, who's to say America wouldn't be much better for it? Let me just point something out. Greenland is a very strategically placed country. It's got eyes around the northern hemisphere. It's a great place for us to have even more military presence. We have some, but even more. And it's a massive, massive mine for rare earth minerals that we use in our phones, in our cars, everywhere. Really, really strategic. So is the Panama Canal. Panama Canal it saves us hundreds of billions of dollars from having to ship things all the way around the bottom. Instead, you go right through the canal. It's another very strategic asset. And then Canada. Who wouldn't love? Our markets, if we owned Canada, we drop the trade barrier between the two. We get Canadian oil. There's a ton of Canadian oil. We'd love to have that. Canada would be great, as long as it's the 51st United States. But I digress. All right, let's go rapid fire for a minute. Here's a lot to get to today. So if you ever needed proof about the impact of leadership, just look here at the message Mexico is sending to their illegals who are destroying our country.
President Claudia Sheinbaum says Mexico will welcome back its citizens, even releasing a special music video dedicated to migrants.
Where we are from,
Welcome back. Come on back. Trump's sitting you back. So they're going to get a music video for these folks, these people. Isn't that amazing? Trump hasn't even set his bags down at the White House yet, and Mexican leadership is literally singing to their invaders, telling them all, come home. We're working with Trump in America. As Mexico serenades their aliens, things aren't too sunny right now on The View. Of course, I'm referring to the arrogant Sunny Hostin, whose husband is in quite a bit of trouble right now, by the way. Her surgeon husband was just accused of insurance fraud in a sweeping RICO case that names nearly 200 possible offenders. I wonder how she's going to defend this one. Before I move on, Donald Trump just responded to Canada's ruling party, we played that for you yesterday, who put out this map seemingly shutting down any thoughts of Canada joining the United States. But in typical Trump fashion, alliteration, he and his team clapped right back with a map of their own, showing both the U.S. and Canada covered in red, white, and blue. Folks, this is what the next 4 years are going to be like. Trump is going to go for it. He's going to go for it all. I'm going to love watching all of this play out. We finally have a leader who will put it all out on the table and fearlessly advocate for his ideas to whomever is asking. Maybe they're not even asking. He's going to put it out there. The transparency is refreshing, and we will very soon be in a much better place for it. Well, Goya, been talking about it all week. They're our major sponsor. They're our biggest sponsor, and we love Goya. Their products are amazing. They use the best, most fresh ingredients. You got to try it out. If you're in the market for any sort of rice and beans and different sorts of canned vegetables, and absolutely the freshest, bar none. It's really, really wonderful food. Good people, too. And in 2021, Goya launched Goya Cares, a global initiative to protect children and educate children on mental health. Goya Cares is providing schools and community centers with a preventative education curriculum and a free assembly that includes the viewing of a short movie called Press Pause by Goya Cares. Press Pause is intended to raise awareness regarding mental health issues, abuse, and bullying among children, teens, and in our communities. Press Pause is an educational film following 15-year-old Sofia Rodriguez as she navigates adolescence, self-doubt, and an abusive relationship amid her parents' turbulent divorce, set within the cultural context of her Hispanic family. The film explores her discomfort with unwanted attention from her uncle and the pressures of maintaining a facade of perfection in high school. It introduces the Press Pause campaign promoting kindness and advocacy, highlighted by Sophia leaving a note saying, "You matter," for a peer who's been bullied. The film encourages open family communication about mental health and culminates in Sophia's transformative realization of her right to seek help. Through the power of empathy and small acts of kindness, Press Pause displays the importance of being proactive in supporting one's community and underscores the critical importance of self-advocacy. Okay, folks, it's time for today's Truth Bomb. You know, Truth Bomb, and I apologize for the name of Truth Bomb, but we're not censoring anything, but Truth Bomb, this horrific images coming out of California, the wildfires. I think 3 wildfires are attacking Southern California as we speak, blazing at the speed of light. A true metaphor, not only for the Biden presidency, but for all Democrat policies and agenda. I know it's early to be doing this, but don't care. That's why we're here. We're just honest. We're just truthful. We just let it rip. I don't have a boss telling me don't say that. I don't have a corporate boardroom telling me don't say that. I don't have advertisers telling me don't say that. We just say it. Yes, people are suffering right now. People are losing their homes. California's burning. But it's part of the Democrat playbook. California, mismanagement of money, mismanagement of resources, and a lack of leadership is the reason. Where was Gavin Newsom last night, the so-called future of the Democrat Party? Their top candidate to run for president in 2028, where was he? Came out today, but where was he last night? Joe Biden, where was he? He is still the president of the country, right? Oh, that's right. He's busy pardoning terrorists, too busy to weigh in on a state, a whole portion of our largest populous state burning, but Joe's nowhere to be found. I guess it was after 7 o'clock, so he was too tired. We are America, and our leadership thinks it's the Dominican Republic.
I'm super inspired.
She took time out of her already busy schedule to tell us about her vision for the department's future, one that includes a 3-year strategic plan to increase diversity.
People ask me, well, what number are you looking for? I said, I'm not looking for a number. It's never enough.
Out of 3,300 city firefighters, only 115 are women right now. She's already looking at ways to change that. She's quick to point out that doing so has a greater purpose, attracting the best and brightest for the job.
They feel included, they feel valued, and they feel part of a cohesive team.
The chief also checks another box when it comes to inclusivity and diversity at this department. She's a proud member of the LGBTQ community.
That just kind of opens the door of people that thought, wow, I didn't even know that was an opportunity for me.
Kind of probably the problem right there, right, folks? Too worried about diversity, equity, and inclusion in the fire department. How has that worked out for you, California? Depleting resources, cutting fire department funding in a state known to have wildfires. Really? And get this one. We're showing headlines for you folks on radio. We're showing headlines. Here's a headline. We're apparently funding Ukraine's fire departments. Apparently we funded 16 Ukrainian fire departments with some of the money we sent over there. Think about that as people are losing their homes and their pets. Dogs and cats are being burned in these homes. It's horrible. It's disgusting. And just look at the damage left behind. It looks like the America Joe Biden is intent on leaving behind, too. I already know what they're thinking.
Well, we need Greenland for national security purposes. I've been told that for a long time, long before I even ran. I mean, people have been talking about it for a long time. You have approximately 45,000 people there. People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right to it. But if they do, they should give it up because we need it for national security. That's for the free world. I'm talking about protecting the free world. So we're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name.
Are you also considering military force to annex and acquire Canada?
No, economic force. Because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada.
You know, Trump's right. Greenland sits nicely. It just sits nicely to be able to oversee North America and parts of Europe and Asia. It's strategically located perfectly. I'm not sure if Trump's right about Denmark not having the, I guess, the title to the country, but God, you gotta love this guy. Well, I already know what they think. The words are hardly out of the 47th president's mouth. I already know what they're all thinking and what they're all going to say. Denmark giving up Greenland, Canada becoming the 51st state, the Gulf of Mexico becoming the Gulf of America. The world is in an uproar. Trudeau's gone. Zuckerberg is bending the knee. Democrats are reaching across the aisle. Bezos making $40 million deals with Melania Trump. Folks, Trump is here. Trump has arrived in full force. He hasn't sworn in yet. And the Trumpification is in full effect. We should call it the re-Trumpification. Let's get into it. With every one of these press conferences, I always say the same thing. That was wild. Trump is back. He doesn't give a shit. But as we get closer to January 20th, which is a mere 12 days away, by the way, or maybe 11 at this point, a couple hours, 11 days and a few hours, it's hard to believe each presser President Donald Trump gives is getting more, exponentially more wild. I think the world truly forgot what a Trump presidency really means for the world. Let's just think about all those briefings. Joe never went into the briefing room, right? In 4 years, I don't think Joe Biden went in maybe once. Trump used to go in there every day. He used to go in the briefing room and just go at it with the mainstream media press, CBS, fighting with CBS, fighting with Reuters, that guy at Reuters. Jim Acosta at CNN. Jim Acosta made his career arguing with Trump. Anyway, the world, I know what they mean. And by they, I mean the leftist propaganda machine, their propaganda mouthpiece. DEI legacy media, the old and dying legacy media, and the deep state puppeteers, they're all in shock right now, but they shouldn't be. They should have remembered from the first time. Only Trump is going to make this one exponentially bigger. Whatever you take Trump 1.0 and 45th presidency to the 47th, make it 1 million.0. He's going to blow the place. He's going to do everything he wants to do. But these people on the left, they spend months trying to get Americans to believe that Donald Trump was going to do everything he could to remain in power forever until the day he dies, like some delusional monarch or fascist leader. They thought he's going to come in and make do with his political enemies the way he sees fit. I hope he does, actually, by the way. Oh, my gosh. He's going to come. They were saying he's going to put us all in internment camps. Total BS, of course, total hyperbole, and total fear-mongering for eyeballs on the leftist media, the mainstream media. A specialty of theirs, by the way. If they're talking, if their lips are moving, they're lying. What they didn't have on their bingo cards, however, is the Canada, Greenland, Panama Canal trifecta. Partly because, well, they all have their heads up their own Trump derangement syndrome asses, and that's pretty much where their heads will remain firmly and in perpetuity, at least for the next 4 years. A nasty visual I've painted for you. I'm sorry for that visual. But I do know this. I know. Playing a bit of devil's advocate here, because I definitely do not give a shit about what the left thinks or what the corporate propaganda media is going to say about me. I imagine I know what they're thinking. I mean, here's a very delicious example right here with CNN's Dana Bash.
Some new information about what he intends to do, or at the very least is not ruling out when he takes office, including not ruling out a military invasion to conquer Greenland, the Panama Canal, and perhaps the annexation of the country of Canada.
Yeah, that's right, Dana. That's right, Dana Bash. President Trump came out and announced that he's going to invade and conquer Greenland. He's coming out, not even in office yet. He hasn't even been sworn in, and he's outlining what he's going to do. That's what you think. Well, certainly that's what you're saying to your gullible, moronic audience, who, by the way, is shrinking because you lied to him for the last 4 years. Okay, but here's the thing these non-thinkers and non-journalists, by the way, aren't realizing. When Trump was asked about how he's going to deal with Iran, watch how he answered this poor schmuck Newsmax corporate reporter asking a dumb question, getting his tits handed to him.
The U.S. launching a preemptive strike on Iran's nuclear facilities.
And I said, I don't talk about it. It's a military strategy.
But it is a legitimate question.
Well, it's not really, because only a stupid person would answer it. Look, it's a military strategy, and I'm not answering your questions on military strategy. All right, one more, Brian. Go ahead.
So he gave him he said that's a stupid question, and only a stupid person would answer that. What he really wanted to say is only a stupid reporter would ask a stupid question. But he went easy on Newsmax there. I know it. Because when it comes to the real strategy, the incoming president wouldn't be stupid enough to reveal what his military strategies may or may not be, for obvious reasons. Because when it comes to the most pressing and serious issues of our time, President Trump clearly wouldn't be stupid enough to tell one of our biggest adversaries what he has in store for them, other than tariffs. Certainly not military action. Yeah, threaten them with tariffs. Of course you do. That's an easy one. You don't want to play ball, China? Smack you with a tariff. Canada, Mexico, you want to help me close the border? You're screwed with tariffs. But if there's going to be military action to take Greenland, if he's even thinking that, he would never, ever announce that. By the way, he would never do that either. He's anti-war. Anyway, nope. Instead, he's going to distract the legacy media and talk about Greenland. I know. I think there's a sheer brilliance in there. This is really amazing. And frankly, I don't want to hear a damn word from the legacy media about it. Joe Biden almost never, ever spoke to the press and answered any questions at all. The incoming 47th president has already given more press conferences than Joe Biden did in his entire term. Well, but one or two, plus or minus one or two. Here's the point. Listen to the Saudi billionaire Hussein Sajwani talking about his investments in America, which never would have happened without the promise of Trump in the White House.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's been amazing news for me and my family when he was elected in November. We've been waiting 4 years to increase our investments in U.S. to a very large amount of money.
See, exactly. We've been waiting 4 years for that stupid-ass Biden administration to exit the White House, because why invest into a dumpster fire of America that Joe Biden created? Why would you do that? You wouldn't. But this is my favorite part of all. What everyone forgets. Well, we don't forget it, but certainly they do. They underestimate the brilliance of Donald Trump. Never forget that this is the man who created the Trump brand, the art of the deal. This is the man who served French fries at McDonald's, which has now dropped its DEI bullshit, coincidentally, in just days after that. This is the man who put a garbage truck uniform on, put the outfit on, when Joe Biden referred to all of us as garbage. This is a man who turned Madison Square Garden into an American celebration for the ages. And perhaps most importantly, this is a man who won the presidency not once, but twice, and disputably 3 times, but I digress, in the face of the impossible. In 2016, when they insisted over and over again that it would never happen again, how delicious is it that Trump's 2016 win is in the face of this? Listen.
He's not going to be president. Donald Trump is not going to be president of the United States. Take it to the bank. Okay. I guarantee it.
All right.
I think if he becomes the president, he'll make it great, because the states is already great.
I think that man will be president of the United States right about the time that spaceships come down filled with dinosaurs and red capes.
On that note, Tom,
take it from me. How about that?
Cheers, Tom.
And then, of course, there's Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
Donald Trump. Just last week, he confirmed to the National Review that he is again considering a run in 2016.
Do it. Do it. Look at me. Do it. I will personally write you a campaign check now on behalf of this country, which does not want you to be president, but which badly wants you to run.
So when you stand and deliver that State of the Union address, in no part of your mind or brain can you imagine Donald Trump standing up one day and delivering a State of the Union address?
Well, I can imagine it in a Saturday night skit. I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
Take it to the bank, says insider trader Nancy Pelosi. Dinosaurs and red capes, baby. Time to pay up. He won. Not only did he win, but he won so quickly that night, it made the leftist machine's head collectively spin right on their bodies, on their axis. Left Hillary Clinton crying for the next 8 years. She won't shut up about it. How many books has this treasonous, corrupted prat written about losing? That's how badly she was lost, that she had to write several books about it. Remember Her Turn? Well, and she still won't shut up about it. That's what Donald Trump did. He created an amazing living rent-free in the liberals' head. But that's not all. President Trump used the entire 4 years of this pathetic Biden presidency to appeal to the American people, to lay out his vision for America 2.0. And of course, most importantly, the biggest middle finger of them all, Trump fought the deep state and won. Lawfare upon lawfare at the state level, at the city level, at the country level. They went after his wealth and he won. They went after his reputation and he won. They went after his freedom and he won. They used everything they had and they still lost. Trump won. And guess what, folks? We won. So never, ever underestimate this man's brilliance and never underestimate anything he does, because while he's distracting you with tariffs in Canada and Greenland and Panama Canal and whatever else, he's making the real deals happen for America. Besides, the reactions say it all, don't they? Donald Trump comes forward with strength and resolve and fortitude and just, let's face it, a general badassness not seen since Ronald Reagan. Strong for America, taking no BS, and no surprise there, the snowflakes on the left are melting. They're falling apart. What we're seeing now is unprecedented. It's so unprecedented that Judge Merchan in New York is doing everything in his power to try and rain on the massive parade. They're desperate to get this sentencing of President Trump in under the wire this Friday. 2 days from now. Trump is fighting it tooth and nail to the Supreme Court even. This is all they have left. After all, it gives them that label. It won't matter. They just want that label they so badly want. Convicted felon. They just want that badly. Even though this whole case is absolute BS, as attorney after attorney after attorney have attested to. This is a legal fact. They had nothing there but lawfare. Again, with lawfare, it was Trump they were going after. But if they won there, they could have gone after you and me as well. Unprecedented. Jeff Bezos giving Melania Trump a massive $40 million Amazon deal. They wouldn't even put the first lady on the cover of Vogue magazine for the first 4 years. Remember that? Remember Vogue? But happy to put treasonous Hillary on the cover. Word salad Kamala Harris on the cover. Unprecedented. The man who censored President Trump and all of MAGA who worked our government with the government agencies to silence voices on COVID, to squash the icky, tricky, sticky Hunter Biden laptop story. Full-on censorship of Meta platforms, Facebook, Zuckerberg, now tail tucked between his legs, talking about working with President Trump. What? Giving money to the Trump inaugural fund. What? This is one of the most dramatic 180s in a long time. Zuckerberg flipping, going pro-Trump. Unprecedented. The prime minister of the country to our north, a known leftist, woke, globalist loser, a Castro descendant, smacked around by President Trump before Trump even got into the White House again. And that was the final nail in the coffin for Justin Trudeau. He knew he was no match. Trump hit him while he was down, and it was just the final wallop Trudeau needed to run from office. Unprecedented. Denmark, Greenland, Canada, the Panama Canal, the Gulf of Mexico, or the Gulf of America. Hyperbole or not, I don't think so. I don't think so. But with Donald Trump as president, no one ever really knows. But here's what I do know, and here's what I know Trump knows. They, the whole lot of them on the left, they've messed everything up in this country. The globalists in charge have descended on the Western world, America most importantly, and they've pushed us into chaos. They haven't done a single thing right for the country. Not a single thing. Not in the Middle East, not in Europe, and most certainly not in America and other parts of North America, Canada, Mexico. Here's another thing I know. President Trump is one of the most brilliant PR masters of all time, and has always been. Is there a method to his so-called madness? Always is. It's the red thread throughout all of it. America first. And when I see him stand up there at that podium, a podium that Joe Biden was too afraid and too senile to entertain, I see strength. And I think to myself, that is America first. That is definition of America first. And I think to myself, folks, we're back. We are back. America is back. Okay, New York Times just dropped one of their, I don't know, I'll call it the best headline maybe ever. I love this headline for you folks on radio. I'm quoting New York Times again. Meta says fact checkers were the problem. Fact checkers rule that false. That's just incredible. It's just unbelievable. What did Meta think was going to happen? They added fact checkers to increase the illusion of honesty and credibility, but then decided to go after those fact checkers. Of course, they got owned. You gotta love that. You gotta love that. You gotta love the New York Times. Oh, by the way, the fact checkers got fact checked, and they failed. Bowling out for today. See you tomorrow. No, that's it. That's all we got for you. Out. Thanks, brother. Did they give Rex Ryan the job?
I saw the news. I don't know if he actually got it.
He says they were going to. He said they'd be crazy not to. You see that?
Really? They said
Oh, he went on. He's like,